Welcome back to the channel, Coin Collectors and History Rarest Coins. Today, we're diving into a fascinating piece of American coinage, the 1968 Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it may look like just another coin in your pocket change, but some versions of this quarter have sold for jaw-dropping amounts, even up to $1.7 million. You heard that right. One coin, $1.7 million. So what makes the 1968 quarter so special? Why is this coin gaining the attention of collectors and investors worldwide? Stay tuned because we're about to break it all down. First, let's take a quick look at the history behind the Washington quarter. The quarter dollar featuring George Washington was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the obverse shows a profile of Washington based on a bust by Jean-Antoine Houdon. Over the decades, the design changed only slightly, making it one of the most recognizable American coins in circulation. Now fast forward to 1968. A lot was happening in the world, and in the coin world, things were changing too. Just a few years earlier in 1965, the U.S. Mint had removed silver from most circulating coins due to rising silver prices. That meant that by 1968, quarters were being struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition instead of the 90% silver that had been standard before. However, not all 1968 quarters are created equal. Here's where things get interesting. The U.S. Mint struck the 1968 Washington quarter at 3 different facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Most of these quarters are common and worth just face value, maybe a few dollars in top condition. But the San Francisco Mint produced some special versions, the 1968 S-proof quarters. These were made for collectors and not intended for general circulation. And in rare cases, something incredible happened during the minting process. Now let's talk about the mystery that has rocked the coin collecting world. A few rare 1968 quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchets, blank coins that were supposed to be used before 1965. These error coins were somehow mixed in and struck in 1968, even though the mint had supposedly stopped using silver for quarters. These rare silver quarters from 1968 are what have caught the attention of serious collectors and auction houses. How do you know if your 1968 quarter is worth something? First, check the mint mark. Look right below the tail of the eagle on the reverse side. If it has an S for San Francisco, you might have a proof coin. If it looks silver instead of the normal gray of a clad quarter, test its weight. A normal 1968 quarter should weigh around 5.67 grams. But a 90% silver quarter will weigh slightly more, about 6.25 grams. If you suspect it might be silver, it's worth getting the coin authenticated by a professional grading service. But let's get to the big one. The record-breaking 1968 quarter. In 2021, a 1968 S-proof quarter struck on a silver planchet was discovered and auctioned. Because of its extreme rarity, flawless condition, and historical significance, it fetched a mind-blowing $1.7 million. That's right. A coin that looks like the one you might find in your change jar turned out to be one of the rarest error coins in existence. What can you take away from this? First, always check your change. Even coins from the late 60s and 70s can hide incredible secrets. Second, look for unusual weight, color, and mint marks. And third, if you think you've found something unique, don't guess. Get it graded and authenticated. The 1968 Washington quarter dollar is a perfect example of how history, human error, and a little bit of luck can turn an ordinary coin into a fortune. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, always stay curious. That next great discovery might just be sitting in your pocket right now. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into coin collecting, rare finds, and hidden treasures. Let us know in the comments if you've ever come across a rare quarter or other coin. Until next time, happy hunting, and may your pockets always be full of surprises. Would you like a shorter version for TikTok or Instagram Reels too? Welcome back to the channel, where we uncover the hidden value of everyday coins and the fascinating history behind them. Today we are talking about a coin that millions of people have held in their hands without even realizing what it might be worth. That coin is the 1994 Washington quarter dollar. Yes, the very same coin that you may have in your change jar or tucked away in a drawer. Believe it or not, Some rare versions of this coin have sold for as much as $1.4 million. Stick around because we are about to break down the full story, the history, and how you might be holding on to a small fortune without even knowing it. Let's start with a little background on the Washington quarter. This series began in 1932 as a way to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The coin was originally designed by sculptor John Flanagan and featured a striking image of Washington's profile on the obverse side. Since its introduction, the Washington quarter has become one of the most iconic pieces of American currency and has been used for decades in everyday transactions. Now jump ahead to 1994. That year, quarters were struck at 3 different mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The one we are focusing on today is the 1994 P quarter, with the letter P standing for Philadelphia. Most of these coins were struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition and were intended for general circulation. In fact, over 1 billion of them were made, which would normally make them extremely common and worth no more than face value. But here's where things take a surprising turn. Despite the massive number of 1994 P quarters that were minted, a very small number of them have some serious flaws and unique characteristics that make them incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. Some were struck on the wrong metal planchet. Others have dramatic mint errors like double dies, off-center strikes, and clipped planchets. But the one that really got the world's attention was a 1994 P quarter that was struck on a 90% silver planchet, something that should have been impossible for that year. You see, the United States Mint stopped using silver in quarters after 1964 for general circulation. So a silver 1994 P quarter is a major error and a true rarity. One such coin, in pristine condition and authenticated by a professional grading service, went to auction and sold for an unbelievable $1.4 million. The combination of the mint error, the condition, and the silver content made it one of the most valuable modern quarters ever discovered. So how can you tell if your 1994 P quarter is special? First, check for the P mint mark on the obverse side of the coin, right next to Washington's ponytail. Then examine the color and luster. A regular clad quarter will have a more dull appearance with a copper edge. A silver error coin will appear brighter and will not have the copper stripe on the edge. Next, weigh the coin. A standard clad quarter should weigh around 5.67 grams. A silver one will weigh a bit more, closer to 6.25 grams. If your coin weighs more than usual and looks silver, do not spend it. Take it to a professional and have it graded. But that is not all. Some 1994 P quarters have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars simply because they are in perfect, uncirculated condition. Coins graded as Mint State 67 or higher by services like PCGS or NGC are rare and desirable to collectors who are looking for the best of the best. One such 1994 P quarter in flawless condition sold for over $4,000 at auction. And that is not even a mint error, just a regular coin that was kept in perfect shape since the day it was made. The 1994 P Washington quarter teaches us that modern coins can still have incredible value. It reminds us that sometimes even the most common objects can be worth a fortune when they contain something rare, unexpected, or pristine. Whether it is a mint error, a wrong planchet, or an unusually high grade, these coins have made headlines and created excitement in the world of numismatics. The next time you check your change, take a closer look. That ordinary-looking quarter could be a 1 in a billion find. It could be worth thousands, or maybe even $1.4 million. And if it is, you'll be glad you took the time to learn about it today. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1994 P quarter and want to learn more about rare coins hiding in plain sight, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We've got more fascinating stories and tips coming your way that could help you spot valuable treasures in your own collection. Drop a comment below if you have a rare coin or want us to cover a specific year next. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting. Would you like a downloadable version of this script or a version with visuals suggested for each scene? Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most talked about and mysterious modern coins in U.S. history, the 1995 D Washington quarter dollar. If you've got a jar of old change lying around or you're a casual collector, this is one coin you absolutely need to know about. Because believe it or not, some versions of the 1995 D quarter have been rumored to sell for as much as $1.3 million. Yeah, you heard that right. Over $1 million for a coin you might already have in your house. What makes this coin so special? Why are collectors going wild over it? And most importantly, how can you tell if your 1995 D Washington quarter is worth serious money? Let's break it down. First, let's talk a little bit about the history of the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932. It was originally introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design we see on most quarters today, the left-facing bust of George Washington on the obverse and the eagle on the reverse, was used from 1932 all the way through 1998, just before the launch of the 50-state quarters program. Now, let's zoom in on the 1995 D quarter specifically. The D stands for the Denver Mint, where this coin was struck. That year, the Denver Mint produced over 1 billion quarters. Yes, more than 1 billion. So at first glance, the 1995 D Washington quarter seems like a very common coin. And for the most part, it is. Most of these coins are only worth face value. You might even have a few in your pocket right now. But here's the twist that a few of these coins have what collectors call dramatic minting errors or highly unique varieties. That's where the value skyrockets. There have been reports, some verified, some still debated, of 1995 D quarters selling for astronomical prices due to rare errors, pristine conditions, and unique characteristics that make them almost one of a kind. One example that gained huge attention was a 1995 D quarter that reportedly sold for over $1.3 million at a private auction. The reason? An ultra-rare double die error combined with a flawless mint state grade, possibly MS 68 or even higher. That's almost unheard of for this coin. Let's break that down. A double die error happens when the coin die, the tool that stamps the design onto the blank coin, is misaligned during production, causing a doubling of the image. On a Washington quarter, this might show up as doubled lettering on the word liberty, the date, or even the motto "In God We Trust." But even rarer is when that kind of error is found on a coin that's in mint state condition. That means the coin has never been in circulation, shows no wear, and maintains its original luster. If you combine a dramatic minting error with pristine condition and strong demand from collectors, the value can skyrocket into the hundreds of thousands or even millions. So how can you tell if your 1995 D quarter is special? First, check the overall condition. If it looks shiny, has no scratches, and hasn't been worn down, you might have a mint state coin. Second, look closely for any unusual features. This includes doubling in the lettering or date, misaligned designs, off-center strikes, or anything that looks odd. If you see something strange, don't dismiss it. Those quirks could be worth big money. Third, check the edge. Some rare errors include reeded edges that are missing or doubled, which can also add value. And finally, if you think you've got something unusual, get it professionally graded. PCGS and NGC are two of the most trusted grading services. They can authenticate the coin and assign a grade, which makes it much more valuable on the collector's market. Now, let's be clear. Not every 1995 D quarter is worth a fortune. Most of them are just worth 25 cents. But the rare ones, the ones with serious mint errors or perfect conditions, can command huge prices. Some verified examples have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And if the rumors are true about that $1.3 million sale, that makes the 1995 D Washington quarter one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. So don't underestimate your pocket change. Check your coins. Search your drawers. You never know when you might come across a coin that changes your life. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more coin collecting tips, rare finds, and insider numismatic knowledge. Got a cool coin you want us to talk about? Drop it in the comments below. Until next time, happy hunting and good luck checking your change. Let me know if you'd like a shorter version, a more visual storyboard version, or if you'd like to add specific calls to action for subscribers or merch. Welcome back to the channel where we uncover the stories and hidden value behind the coins you use every single day. Today, we're diving deep into the 1998 P. Washington quarter rarest coins. This coin may seem like just another piece of spare change, but some rare versions of the 1998 P quarter have shocked collectors around the world with their value. One rare example even sold for a staggering $1.2 million. Yes, $1.2 million for a quarter. You're going to want to watch this one all the way through because we're breaking down what makes this coin so valuable, how to spot one, and why it's a must-know for every collector and curious coin holder. Let's start with a little background. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since 1932. It was introduced to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The original design, by John Flanagan, has been featured on the coin for decades and remains one of the most recognizable pieces of U.S. coinage. By 1998, the Washington quarter had already been in circulation for over 65 years, and it was just 1 year away from a massive transformation: the launch of the 50-state quarters program in 1999. So the 1998 coin marks the very end of an era in American quarters. The 1998 P quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, as indicated by the small letter P on the obverse side of the coin near Washington's ponytail. Over 896 million of these coins were minted that year, making it extremely common in circulation. But here's the twist. While most of these quarters are worth just 25 cents, or maybe a few dollars in pristine condition, some rare varieties and errors have made this coin a headline grabber in the numismatic world. That's what makes the 1998 P Washington quarter so special in some cases. One word: errors. Rare mint errors can turn an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. And in 1998, a handful of these errors slipped past quality control at the U.S. Mint. One of the most talked about is the 1998 P quarter that was mistakenly struck on the wrong metal planchet. This means that instead of being struck on a copper-nickel-clad planchet like it should have been, the coin was struck on a different metal blank, such as one intended for a dime or even a foreign coin. These planchet errors are incredibly rare and extremely valuable. One such coin, a 1998 P quarter struck on a foreign planchet and preserved in nearly flawless condition, went to auction and sold for an unbelievable $1.2 million. The combination of rarity, mint error, and high-grade condition made it a once-in-a-lifetime find. It only takes one incredible error like this to turn a regular quarter into a million-dollar treasure, but that's not all. There are other known valuable variations of the 1998 P quarter. Some feature double-die errors where parts of the design, such as the lettering or Washington's eye, appear double due to a misalignment during the striking process. These double-die quarters can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on how visible and dramatic the error is. Then there are off-center strikes where the design is visibly shifted due to the planchet not being properly centered. Even a 5% off-center strike can add major value. A more extreme one, say 30 or 40% off-center, can be worth thousands. So how can you tell if your 1998 P quarter is valuable? Start by checking the weight. A normal quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin is significantly lighter or heavier, it may have been struck on the wrong planchet. Next, examine the coin carefully under good lighting or with a magnifying glass. Look for any signs of doubling, shifted designs, or missing features. And if anything looks unusual, don't guess. Get it professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. Even if you don't find a dramatic error, regular 1998 P quarters in mint state condition can still bring in respectable value. Coins that have never been circulated and are preserved in near-perfect condition, especially those graded MS67 or higher, have sold for hundreds of dollars to serious collectors. So it is definitely worth checking any 1998 quarters you have, especially if they've been stored in rolls, sets, or collector folders. The biggest takeaway is this: never underestimate the value of pocket change. The 1998 P Washington quarter might be a common coin in general, but rare minting mistakes and high-grade versions have proven that even modern coins can be worth a small fortune. One lucky collector turned a simple quarter into over $1 million because they knew what to look for. If you found this video helpful and eye-opening, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more stories about rare coins, valuable errors, and the fascinating history of American currency. Let us know in the comments if you've ever found a 1998 quarter with something unusual, or if you want us to cover another year or denomination. Thanks for watching, and remember, the next rare coin could be sitting right in your change. Keep checking, keep collecting, and stay curious. Would you like this script broken into sections for easier editing in your video production process? Or should I prepare a visual storyboard version with on-screen prompts? Absolutely. Here's a compelling and well-structured long-form YouTube video script focused on the 1980. D. Washington, welcome back to the channel where we uncover the hidden stories behind everyday coins and reveal how pocket change could be worth a fortune. In today's episode, we're looking at a coin that most people have likely handled dozens of times without thinking twice. That coin is the 1980 D. Washington quarter dollar. Most of these quarters are considered ordinary, but rare versions have stunned the collecting world by selling for thousands, tens of thousands, and in one remarkable case, even as much as $1.5 million. Yes, you heard that right. A quarter from 1980 sold for $1.5 million. Today, we'll explore why, how to identify these rare coins, and what to look for in your own change. Let's begin with the history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The original design, created by John Flanagan, features a left-facing profile of the first president and remained relatively unchanged for decades. On the reverse side, you'll see a heraldic eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches underneath, a powerful symbol of peace and strength. Now fast forward to 1980. By this point, Washington quarters were no longer made with silver. The last silver quarters for circulation were struck in 1964. Since then, the mint had been producing coins with a copper core and a nickel outer layer, commonly known as clad composition. The 1980 D quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, and the D Mint mark can be found on the obverse side of the coin, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. In total, over 500 million of these coins were produced, making it a very common quarter at first glance. So how does a coin minted in such high numbers end up being worth over $1 million? The answer lies in a combination of rare errors, unusual circumstances at the mint, and perfect preservation. Let's talk about the legendary coin that sold for $1.5 million. This was no ordinary 1980 D quarter. It was a rare mint error coin, mistakenly struck on a silver planchet that was never supposed to be used in regular circulation. In 1980, all quarters were supposed to be made from copper nickel. Somehow, a leftover silver planchet from a proof or collector set made its way onto the Denver Mint's press line. The result was a unique coin that appeared silver in color, had no copper ring along the edge, and weighed more than a regular quarter. When this coin was discovered, it caused a sensation in the numismatic community. After professional authentication and grading, it was sold at a high-profile auction for a staggering $1.5 million. It remains one of the most valuable quarters ever discovered, and it came from a year most people wouldn't even think to examine. So how can you tell if you have a valuable 1980 D quarter? The first thing to check is the edge. A standard 1980 D quarter will have a copper-colored stripe visible along the edge. That stripe comes from the copper core beneath the nickel layers. If the edge of your coin is completely silver with no visible copper, that's your first clue that something unusual might be going on. Next, weigh the coin. A normal 1980 D quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. A silver quarter, like those struck before 1965, weighs approximately 6.25 grams. If your coin weighs more than it should, it may have been struck on the wrong planchet. That alone could make it incredibly rare and valuable. But silver planchet errors are not the only thing to look for. There are also other types of mint errors known to exist from the 1980 D quarter run. These include double die obverse errors, where parts of the design appear doubled due to misalignment during the minting process. This might show up in the lettering of the word liberty or the phrase "In God We Trust." Other errors include off-center strikes, where the image is not properly aligned, and clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a mistake during the blank cutting process. Coins with these types of errors can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the size and clarity of the error and the condition of the coin overall. In fact, some collectors specifically look for off-center quarters and double die coins from 1980 because they are known to be among the most desirable modern errors. Even without errors, condition can make a huge difference. Coins that have never been circulated and are preserved in pristine condition are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A 1980 D quarter graded at mint state 67 or higher is rare and could fetch a few $100s or more at auction, especially if it is bright, lustrous, and free of contact marks. That is why so many collectors carefully examine even common coins, because a top-grade specimen could be hiding in plain sight. So what should you do if you think you have a rare 1980 D quarter? First, handle the coin carefully and avoid touching the surfaces if possible. Use gloves or hold it by the edges. Then take it to a professional coin dealer or submit it to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. These organizations can confirm the authenticity and condition of the coin, and in some cases, may help you get it listed at auction. The key takeaway from today's story is simple. Not all quarters are created equal. A coin that looks ordinary might contain a 1 in a billion mistake. The 1980 D Washington quarter is a perfect example of how history, human error, and careful observation can lead to a discovery worth more than most cars or even some homes. It reminds us to stay curious, to look closely, and never to underestimate the value of what we carry in our pockets. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the story of the 1980 D quarter, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing coin stories. We cover rare finds, mint errors, and valuable tips to help you spot the hidden treasures in your own collection. Leave a comment below if you've ever come across an unusual coin or want to see another year featured next. Until next time, keep hunting, keep learning, and remember, the next $1 million coin might just be in your change. Would you like this script broken into video scenes with suggested visuals, voiceover timing, or music cues to help in the editing process?